Yay. It worked. I actually got a notification on my phone. I changed the settings on Restream. So when it goes live, it says you are going live. So anybody who liked it or commented should also get a notification.
How cool is that?
So
Nice.
we'll see what happens. Yeah, unless they have notifications turned off on their phone. So anyway, so let's carry on this conversation as hopefully some people log in, and we'll give them time to log in. And again, if you're here listening, we don't know you're here unless you comment. So let us know you're here. Let us know where you're from. But if you want to be a fly on the wall, that's okay too. We're not going to, make you make a comment. But as we were backstage, before we came on, we were talking donuts. So now I'm going to ask Charlotte and Karen, what's your favorite donut?
Oh. I have to go with like a Krispy Kreme hot and ready glazed donut, like just the plain, fresh Krispy Kreme. If I'm gonna have a donut, so good with coffee. Yeah. That's my go-to.
Yes, it has to come with coffee, and the irony of this is I do not like Krispy Kreme. I'm a Dunkin' Donuts gal, or that place in Oceanside that has their croissant donuts. So for me, it's like a Boston cream would be one of my favorites. Yeah. All right, Karen, your turn.
Glazed old fashioned. And that's not to say that I don't like but I love a glazed old fashioned.
Okay. Yeah. Those are a little crunchier. Yeah. I can get they're good with coffee too, because they're a little firmer. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So so we have a wide array of donuts, and fortunately we don't like recommend doing this 3 or 4 at a time every day, right?
It's really just not one of my weaknesses. Like if it's there and if it's a hot, fresh, ready Krispy Kreme, I'll have one, but I'm just not like that. Just doesn't. That's not my thing. Give me something that's like lemon cake. Give me cake.
Yep.
Give me cake.
Give me cake. Yes. Let them eat cake.
Yes.
I'm honestly more of a savory person, so I prefer that. In fact, if I have a donut, then I have to have something savory afterwards because it's just too much sweetness. However, like I said, I've never found that limit with donuts. Like once I get started, I have no idea where the limit's at.
Just keep going.
So Taylor logged in. So hello, Taylor. If you want to put in the chat what your favorite donut is, we're kind of curious, and I'm not sure how to now segue into real estate with that conversation. I'm trying really hard. What's the segue? So maybe
there are all different brands and all different flavors.
There we
go. Just like real estate.
Know your flavor.
Yep. And some we like and some we don't.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Ooh, yes. Okay. So today, duck donuts. Okay. Is that? Yeah.
Those are good.
All right. I'll have to ask Taylor next time I talk to her live what that is. Okay. So today I actually have a few questions that I want us to go through and talk about real estate. Before we do that, though, Charlotte, Karen, you go first. Then Charlotte, who are you? And what do you love about what you do? What do you do, and who are you, and what do you love?
My name is Karen Henson, and I'm a real estate broker. I have offices in California and Idaho. And in terms of what do I love regarding the business, I just love helping get people into homes, and love helping agents find a balance in this industry, which can be such an amazing career if you find the balance. So that's what I love.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad you said that, because I know for a fact how much you support and care for your agents.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
which was why the three of us are here, because I feel that way about my clients. And I know Charlotte feels that way about her, agents. So Charlotte, your turn.
Sure. My name is Charlotte Harrell. I'm a mortgage leader at Atlantic Bay Mortgage. I'm actually all the way on the Atlantic Bay today, all the way across the country. And I absolutely love the leadership through marketing and really inspiring the team to grow their business through creative ways. So I get to cut in this position and find ways to push through any market hurdle and find strategic and creative ways to get through things. And I love that. It's a lot of fun because it's a new challenge every day.
Yep. How many mortgage lenders do you lead?
To 11. 11 that produce.
Hmm.
And we've got some support staff in there as well. So 15 total with the whole group.
That's a phenomenal team. So
And it's
yes,
amazing.
and I know how much you care about them. I do.
They're good people.
So right. So we've got great minds think alike on that right now. Okay. So first question, which is going to be the fun one before we get into seriousness. What's the craziest story you have in your back pocket around real estate? Karen, go for it.
Okay. This was actually a story as a producing agent. And I had a buyer that had just a really narrow market to purchase within because of their ability to purchase, so loan and money available, where they wanted to be, and then their loan type. So we looked and looked and looked and looked, and we finally found one. We were in contract, and they bought a new car. And, that's a big no-no for anyone that's listening that's house shopping. And their reasoning, even though they'd been, we'd had this discussion, the reasoning was, well, the payment didn't change. And, in a very, as polite as I could, I said, just don't think for yourself. Like right now, let your mortgage person make decisions, help you make decisions. Because, what happens for those that are listening to this and that might be in the market is that your debt went way up. Yes, your payment's the same. There's more to it than just that. So, okay, that transaction got canceled. They went on for 2 years, working really hard to pay that car down, got back into contract, same kind of scenario, tough to get into because of all of the extra money and so on and so forth. The day before closing, they opened 2 consumer cards. And I was like, I want to put my hands around your neck, but I can't believe you just did that to yourself again. Again, after, fighting so hard to get out of that. Anyways, that story turned out a lot better than the first one. They had an underwriter who was like just so amazingly over the top. They were able to go to the store, get some notes written from managers, close up the accounts. But this all happened on closing day. It was insane. Like, I have no idea why somebody would swim all the way across the ocean and get to land and turn around and jump back in.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Wow,
And with my coaching hat on, I'm thinking there's something about them self-sabotaging themselves, 100%. Right.
Yeah.
That there was a lot of self-sabotage in there, fear of success or something going down, because that's a heck of a story. Yeah. All right, I'll share mine last. Charlotte, your turn.
Okay. So I was trying to decide. I've got so many crazy. I've got lots of people. You would be surprised, Karen. That happens. People buying things, especially when they're buying a house because they get furniture and stuff like that. That happens so often. It's such a pain. But so thank you for telling them to listen to their mortgage person. So something happened recently that actually brought up one of my way past stories, and it's around fraud, which, we kind of think that fraud is gone now because it's kind of taboo. It was kind of the thing of the past. It was the 2006s and 2007s is when fraud was rampant. But let me tell you, girls, fraud is not a thing of the past. We actually, and I can't give too many details, but recently we have found a referral partner who we have been doing some investigation on him, and we found his Instagram and his Facebook, and he literally advertises on Facebook and Instagram, need documents, W-2s, pay stubs, bank statements, assets, tried to buy a home, I got you, Venmo me money, Cash App me money. He's literally making so this stuff is still out there. And with some loans, we can get them closed. We caught them in QC when we're doing an audit. And when you do a QC audit, randomly pull a file and you literally verify every W-2. You go to the IRS, you get transcripts, right? So that's how we found this similarity. So then we were going back to the source and we start searching the person. And sure enough, this guy has been forging documents for all kinds of people for cash.
Wow.
Which is just awesome. But that takes me back to the story that was like super personal to me was back when I was an account executive. I would go to mortgage brokers back in 2006 and 2007 when it was a little bit more common. I walked into one mortgage broker's office and my job was to look at credit and see if it was somebody that I could approve, look at income and see if it was doable. And this guy, kid you not, I said, so how much does he make on his W-2 last year? And he pulled a drawer open and got a blank W-2 and a pen and said, how much do you need it to say?
Wow.
Kid you not. I was like, that's some balls. And no, thank you, sir.
That's
You can't make this. You
wild.
can't make this shit up.
Literally pulled it
No.
out of his drawer with a blank W-2. I'm like, who do you think I am? I mean, but no.
So just to
Wow.
piggyback on that from that same time frame, there was an agent in an office that I worked in who had a significant savings, and she would just put her client on that account with her, and then after they closed escrow, roll them off and put another one on, so that it was her money being shown as reserves to the lenders, which is interesting because I mean, they had to enclose in their eyes as well because her name was on it.
Right. I was going to say,
If
no, but that wasn't a yellow flag, if not a red flag.
an on fire red flag, but as Charlotte said, those kind of were the days. There was,
It was that
the
was
walls. Yeah, I mean, the walls that created the boundaries were like lower than curbs.
Yeah.
You step over it very
if you
easily.
don't really need income and you don't have to have assets and you really don't have to pay your bills on time, but you're still going to get 100% financing, the rules are real muddy at that point.
Why even have an approval process at that point?
Right. Like, do you breathe? Okay,
Right.
we'll
Okay.
write you a mortgage.
Yeah, but that was back in 2008. If they were breathing, they were good.
Yeah, 2007, 2006, it was rampant.
It was so bad. All right, so I have
Yeah.
a story, and coaching is confidential, so I'm not going to share anything within a coach call because I have a few stories, but this is at an event, and so no names will be said. But this was at an event, so it wasn't a coaching call. So I'm a corporate coach, right? I coach for a corporation. I'm new. This is my first year of coaching, and I'm at an event where a lot of my clients are coming to this event, meeting me. I'm meeting them. Lots of hugs, and unbeknownst to me, and as you guys know, you go to events and you pass out cards and maybe a little gift or something, a token for your area, so they remember where you're from. My boss comes up to me and says, "Tanya, you have a client that's passing out condoms with his business card on it." Do you know this story, Karen?
No.
And on the condom, it says,
covered.
It says, "I've got your real estate needs covered," with the business card attached, and a Popeye tag that says, "I've got your business needs covered. Call me." And it's a condom. So my boss says, "Tanya, this is not the vibe we want, and you need to go talk to him." I'm like, "Come on, I've only been coaching for you guys for like 3 months. Can you go do it?" No.
So
Wow.
I have this pot buy idea for I'm going to go to the mastermind this year, and I don't normally do pot buys, but this one is so good, but they might frown on it now that you're telling me the story.
What is it?
Okay.
We'll let you know.
I want to buy a bunch of little rubber duckies, little
Okay.
rubber duckies, and I want them to have like the little Atlantic Bay A on them. They're going to be so cute. And the pot buy tag is going to say, "Work with a lender that gives a duck."
Okay, that's fine.
That's
Absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And then I
Right
might do
now,
a post with all the ducks, and it says,
I-
"Look, I have so many ducks to give."
Oh. That's awesome.
Yes,
I
that's
like that.
cute. I like that. Although that
And I
other person
think-
that other person probably would use the F word in there, right? So
Probably,
anyway,
right.
Yeah, so that's so we all have our stories and we can't make them up. And yes, to this day I remember it thinking it was creative, right? But
Now I just want to know, do I know this person? Do we know
Yeah.
them?
ask me when we're off camera.
Oh, that would be so exciting if I knew. I'd go give him a high five. I think it's great. I mean, he was really serving the community. People get drunk at these events.
I
mean,
know.
That could have really helped somebody else.
Yes. Well, I know what happens at events are supposed to stay in events, right?
Right. Quite literally.
Not a population explosion 9 months later.
Oh, that's funny. All right. So on a serious note, let's do an update, because I see updates every single week what's going on with NAR. So what's going on? What's the update? Because I see it keeps getting extended. You know, that there's right from the horse's mouth. Karen, what's going on? And Charlotte, on your end, what's going on?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think this is my own just opinion on it, that as I've said before, the verdict should have never gone the way that it went, and it did. And now I think they don't really know what to do with it.
I agree.
This whole unwinding of the MLSs is insane. Now we have MLSs leaving NAR. I don't know what that's going to mean, right? Do we have to belong to 40 MLSs now? We've always been trying to get toward more of a national MLS to begin with, because right now we're so fragmented with MLSs. A lot of us have to belong to several just to serve our area. So I see that sort of getting worse before it gets better. It's like the children are driving the bus right now, and it's pretty scary. And so I don't really know what's going to happen with, that the new date of August. However, what can agents do, and what am I talking to agents about doing, is get out there and tell the story. Get out and be the voice, be in front of it. I think that our market, right? Our market's going to be really good for the next 5 years based on something totally different. And that is all the stats about the number of people that we have basically in the chute ready to buy houses. And that's still going to happen even with higher rates. And so I think that our market is going to be strong and remain strong for, if not the entire next 5 years, looking forward, a good part of it, a really good part of it.
Yeah. Charlotte, anything you want to add?
I can give some good news.
Yay.
Oh, y'all like good news, right?
Yes, we do.
On the lending side now, I think last time we talked, Fannie and Freddie had disclosed that the seller paying the buyer's closing cost would not be considered in the buyer's caps, which was very important.
Yep.
Because those caps can really hinder when it comes to getting closing costs covered. So FHA followed suit, and just this week, VA came out and one said that the borrowers can pay the seller's closing or can pay the closing cost. That was number one, because VA did not allow the borrower to pay the realtor fees. So they will allow it in that situation specifically when it's, for the listing agent, for the buy side agent, I should say. And now they are saying it is not going to be in the 4% cap as well. So really good news when it comes to lending. That was the scariest part for us, was how many of our borrowers who are already facing affordability issues and cash crunch issues, if we take the ability of the seller to pay closing cost and the realtor fee away together, then we were really going to be we were going to lose. I think that's probably a 10% loss in business. So being able to put that back on. So that's some great news. So to me, again, I'm not a realtor. Once you guys get all the stuff shaken out.
Yes.
Once we get our shit
together, an amazing thing.
Right?
Once it gets shaken out and people figure out how to do it, this is going to be such a positive thing for y'all. I mean, honestly, I see this as being, you guys get a contract, you're going to just.
Yeah. And the lenders coming to these decisions puts the negotiation back where it belongs, which is with us, right? If they were not going to do that, we lose a large portion of our ability to negotiate some of these things. So I'm super happy to hear that. I do have one question. I read something where it was a temporary approval. Do you know anything about that?
All of them are temporary approvals. So here is the thing. I think the biggest question is going to be how the market reacts, because if these closing costs for the agents, the market shifts to where it truly is now a buy-side closing cost, and it's not customary for the listing, the seller to pay for it, it's going to then be in that cap. Because the only reason it's not being considered in the cap for buyer's closing cost is because it's a customary fee for sellers to pay. So if as the market shifts and realtors aren't doing a good enough job listing and getting their sellers to know that they need to pay that commission when they're negotiating, like expecting that commission, and buyers do start paying more of that fee, if that ever changes to where it is not customary for the seller to pay it, then they would have to go back and look at that again. So that
Yeah.
I think that from what I'm reading, and that's just my opinion, but from what I'm reading, I think that's the biggest temporary part is we don't know how the market's going to react to it. And
Right.
literally that the laws say that if it is a customary seller paid, then it doesn't have to go in there. So if that changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And, interesting. Sorry, Tanya, to
That's okay. No,
jump in
go.
on this. However, the market, just by the nature of how the market is, will continue to change with that, right? Because when it's a buyer's market, sellers are going to be paying for everything, including their child's education if they have to, right, to sell their home. So I don't know, it may become customary for a while.
Right.
However, it's just like everything else in our market. It just continues to shift.
Yep.
So we had title fees in Tennessee. That was kind of like that. In Tennessee, for a long time, it was very customary for the buyer to pay the closing costs. So that was a buyer's pay closing costs. Well, then the contract got amended, and then it became a very normal thing for the sellers to pay it. So we were able to put that into the customary for the seller to pay. And then 2022 and 23 hit, and what you said, it was the opposite. The sellers were saying, yeah, you're paying everything, including
Right.
our chocolate for a year, So we saw some crazy stuff. So
Yes.
and we had it switched. So then it became not as customary. So it is fluid. It's always fluid because the letter of the law is what is customary, and it can be by area.
Yeah.
Be different.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so for me, keeping my clients, motivated through this, they're getting frustrated with, okay, so by mid-July, we need to have a unique selling proposition. We need to know your value. We need to articulate that with confidence. And we're practicing and we're role playing. And now it's like, oop, now we don't need to do it till August. So there's a lot of confusion and frustration. And some even saying, I don't think we're ever going to have to do this. So why am I doing it? Which, in my opinion, and I want both of your opinions, I think it makes you a better agent, rather if you're in the mortgage industry or the real estate industry, being able to know what your USP is and how to articulate it makes you better no matter what. However, keeping them motivated through this has been a challenge. So how do you motivate your team if they're maybe they're not as confused, maybe they're okay because Karen, I know, and Charlotte, how well you educate your people. However, in any situation, how do you motivate your people?
Well, first, I'm going to start with, if they make it to where this is not a mandatory, for the love of everything, do it anyway. But now you don't have all the craziness that you guys are going through. You can just choose to do it on your own. You can get a contract signed with the buyer right up front every single daggum time, because that's the normal now. Because now it's in the news, they're going to expect it. So now that's the normal. No, do it. Don't miss this opportunity. And then they can't come back and enforce crazy things because you're just doing it naturally. Sounds like a good idea. So anyway, that's my soap pedestal. Like, I'm so insanely jealous. I've said this before. I'm insanely jealous of the idea that you guys can lock people into a contract on the front end.
Right.
But so I would say to keep the team motivated, we have a little bit different in our motivation right now because we're not facing those same things. But for us, it's constantly coming back to the fun part of your business, the part of your business that brings you joy. If you were like, you're burnout, because that happens, we get really, really underwater. So think of the things that bring you joy and make sure that you are tying that into your business plan, and then go out and do more of that to get yourself back righted up. And that typically gets them to a happier point. I've got one person that loves to do big events. I've got somebody that loves doing like home cooked meals for her partners. Like, okay, stop doing the crap you hate, and let's just focus on that for a little bit to get your mental shift moving, and then it gets the motor running again, if you will.
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes hand in hand with the when you and I went live on your podcast about being in alignment with your values.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Karen, you're up.
Yeah. So, to help to speak specifically about like right now and how we're kind of getting through this. I mean, my motto to the agents is educate, 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 as opposed to defend, defend, defend. Right. So it's out there on the news. So just go above it, get in front of it, and educate people like, hey, this is what's happening, including people who are not in the market, because it's going to help you be seen as a professional. Right. And kind of tap into what Charlotte was just saying too, right? Is really get engaged with your community and do the educating too. So go outside of your database. Certainly educate your database, but also go outside of the database and sort of become the person who is professional, knows how this is going to be handled, how we're going to move forward, and do it in a way that feels good to you, right? So if it's volunteering at a food bank while you're talking to people about stuff, if it's hosting small intimate parties, little cocktail parties or a big party, just keep doing it. And then in terms of like actual motivation is, sharing success stories of people that are doing this, because we have people on the team that are doing it and they're coming back excited because it's going well. Bottom line, we are going to lose a lot of agents through this. And so this is a time to like really kick in the turbo, the afterburners, right? And get serious and really gain some market share.
Yes, I agree. It's some of my social media posts. It's some of my quote lectures, within my coaching community is go buy the lock boxes, right? Because people are selling their lock boxes. Go buy them. You're not leaving this industry. No way. Not on my watch, right? Go buy the lock boxes. You're going to be fine. And yes, lean into, like Karen says, and Charlotte says, lean into being on top of it. Don't hide, educate yourself. I have an example. I have a client that I coach in the Tucson area, and he had got a listing and they heard on the news they didn't have to pay the buyer agent. So they would only let him list it for paying him 3% and nothing on the buyer side. So it said 0. And he did a phenomenal job. But here's the listings in your neighborhood. There were 2 other ones, similar floor plan. They were offered out at either 2.5 or 3 to the buyer side. I said, they're going to go before yours. I don't care. It's 0. I don't have to do it. I heard it on the news. So he did it. The other 2 homes sold within weeks. Well, at least went under contract, less than a week on both of them. And a month later, that listing was still sitting. So now he went in and, so go ahead.
I was to say, now he has a great story, right? Because that's the big thing, is stories. Like, just like what we started off with today, now he has a story he can take forward.
Yes, he does. And he went back a month later when that seller is saying, why isn't mine selling? When literally one on each side of the street have now gone, says pending on the sign writer. And he told her why. And she put it out for 3%. And then 2 days later, it went under contract. That's awesome. It's,
you just have to remember that if you're not paying it, what you're doing is you're saying, if you had 10% down, now I need you to have 13% down. And people have to understand that not a lot of people have more than their down payment and what they were expecting to do for closing costs. When you take that off the plate, if they were planning on doing 20% down, well, now you're talking about 20% plus their closing cost. And now this extra, you are limiting who you can buy your house. You don't ever want to do that. You don't want to limit who can buy your house. That's just
not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah, and there's a healthy conversation about the fact that the buyers have always actually paid. It's just been wrapped into the price of the home. Right. They just didn't have to increase their down payment.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly right. That's it.
Well, so bottom line on all of this, we are always going to have crazy shit in real estate, right? We always are, right? From when I started in 2003, through the 2008-9, and through recessions and interest rates and all that, we will always have crazy stuff in real estate. And so with that being said, Charlotte, I'll have you go first this time. What's one piece of advice or takeaway you want listeners, the audience, to hear today?
Can I just say that I'm going to give this advice, and sometimes I have to take it. Sometimes I have to take it myself on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And that is, you need to surround yourself with people that inspire you. If you said, how do you motivate people? That's part of it too. But honestly, in this industry, if you're a realtor, if you're a lender, whatever that is, if you're a realtor, find a lender that inspires you and vice versa. Find people that when these obstacles come in front of you, rather than naysay, it's going to be horrible. I mean, you're allowed to cry. I have a 5 minute. You can bitch for 5 minutes. And then it's time to put your thinking caps on and be inspired and figure out ways to get out of it. So surround yourself and be a person that will inspire rather than do the other. So just get your tribe of inspirational help, and you can get through anything. With that, you can truly get through anything.
Yes, and we have, right? I am one of the, and I know Karen is, we and Charlotte, we've been through really hard times of, higher interest rates, inflation. 2008, I have sold more short sales than any woman deserves to sell, right?
I'm so sorry.
and I want to say to Charlotte, you are way tougher than me, because I tell my clients you're allowed a 24-hour pity party, and then pull up your pants and let's get to work. You have 5 minutes.
5 minutes. If you dwell on it for more than 5 minutes, your mind is going, that gap, right? Your mind is going way south. 5 minutes to get your head out of it. You just got to keep going.
Yeah. I have an example that happened today. I have a client that has been a little bit MIA, and I know from years of coaching that person that something's going down. So I actually initiated the SOS call and said, hey, do you need an SOS call? And I waited 24 hours, and sure enough, it was about the next day. It was like, oh, okay, yes, I do. I can just hear it, right? And so we had it today. Yes.
We're always trying to get our shit together before we call you.
Yes. Yes. And it was so inspiring and eye-opening, because almost word for word, as we're hanging up, he says, Tanya, I was really hesitant about taking the call. I almost just canceled the call. I was just really hesitant, but I'm really glad I took it, and you inspired me, and I'm ready to, plow on. Right. So yeah, just don't go to that dark space. And I had a spiny sense that I know this person's going down that rabbit hole. So I listened to my gut. All right, Karen, your turn.
Well, it's really hard to beat what Charlotte said, because I kind of feel like that's a big thing. Our business is emotionally expensive. That is all there is to it, right? And things are going to wear you out and get you down, and you've got to have a plan. And maybe that plan, it depends on who you are, right? Maybe you go to the gym, maybe you go to the bar, maybe you go for a walk, but whatever it is, that's what you need to do. And there's not a whole lot that you can't take a 30 or 45 minute timeout from. It'll still be okay. It might seem like extremely urgent, but it's no different than having a pre-scheduled appointment that's going to keep you away from dealing with that for that amount of time. And if that gets you out of that space and allows you to kind of go back to that person that you are, the reason that people brought you business is because you're up. That's what you need to do.
Yes, you do. And
except for maybe the bar. I don't think you should do that for 45 minutes and go back to work.
I feel like the 5 minute rule works at the bar. You get one shot at it in 5 minutes, then you're done.
If you go back to work and try to solve the problem, you might want to.
Well, because some of us play pickleball, right?
Yeah.
Some of us like to dance. Some of us like to walk on the beach. And again, I'm not going to call any of us out, but I think I hit the nail on the head pretty much all the way around, right? We need to take that time. And as a coach, I want everybody to take a deep breath, take a knee. Right. It's like that 5 minutes. During that 5 minutes, or when you're done with the 5 minutes, is take a knee and then refocus, or do an SOS call, or reach out to your broker, or reach out to your team leader, Charlotte, and get refocused. So it's kind of like breathe, take a knee, and call who you need to call to get refocused.
Yes.
Yeah. Because bullets are flying. I love that Wonder Woman scene. I don't know, in the first Wonder Woman movie, where she's running across the field and bullets are flying and she's fending them off as they're coming to her, right? Most business women and businessmen in any business profession have that happen. It's not just real estate agents or mortgage lenders. It's business, being a solopreneur, being an entrepreneur, that happens too. So, okay. So now, and Rachel says Maui. Yes. Maui is a good place. Yes, it is. Okay. And I'll save it for the next time. I have a good realtor story on Maui. But I'll save it for the next time we get together next month. Remind me to share the Maui realtor story. Favorite movie?
That is so hard for me. I love so many movies.
I do too. And this is really hard for me. So I had to pick. So if you're ready to go first, go. If not, I'll go first while you're thinking.
You go, Tanya.
Okay, so I have many favorite movies, and I can sit here and list probably 20 of them. But since I'm gonna narrow it down to one for the sake of time, the original Mary Poppins.
Oh,
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Very
A Spoonful of Sugar is such a great coaching song, right? Is right
cool.
and
Yes.
right, and then at the end, let's go fly a kite. I mean, there's so many coachable moments in that movie. Yes, or life lessons. So Mary Poppins, hands down. I love that movie.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I have to pick Game Plan because really it's any movie with Dwayne Johnson in it. But that, and I will deny that my business is called Rock and Associates to have anything to do with that, but my kids will tell you different. But and I don't watch a lot of movies, but anytime he's in one, I find my way there.
I have never associated that with Rock and Associates, but now I always will. It just makes it so much more fun. There's a post for you in that.
There is actually a real story about why it's called Rock. But that
stick with Dwayne. That's
like
I
said.
I want to, yes.
People never
maybe he'll do a cameo since you named it after him.
Okay, I'm on it.
I'm gonna snip this and I'm gonna tag him all over social media.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna narrow it down to two, but it's the kind of the same. It's Top Gun and then the second Top Gun.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with fighter planes. Like,
oh
I have a real, like, I'm here at Virginia Beach right now and I'm sitting by the window just hoping that one is over, because I like, when I went to go see the Blue Angels, I actually cry. It's just so stupid. I'm infatuated with them. So Top Gun, the second one, I was too young when the first one came out. When the second one came out, I think I saw it 7 times in the movie theater. So slightly obsessed.
Yes. And I have seen them that many times as well, especially since it's here in Oceanside. You can go see the Top Gun house and the restaurant. Karen, I don't know if you went to it because it's right there near the convention center in San Diego, and then it burned down and then they rebuilt it. But the original was there for a long time. I used to go there, you know, it was a barbecue place. So yes, those are my favorite movies for sure. Yes.
Good movies.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a Blue Angel story. So I've been watching this documentary on the Blue Angels, and it's like a 7-part series. Don't quote me on that, but I love the Blue Angels. So, and I love flying. So I've been watching it, and at the end, at the last one, they hire the first female Blue Angel.
Yeah, I follow her.
Yep. But when I was in my 20s, I was in Wisconsin for an air show, and I had just got my pilot's license. And I was in Wisconsin for this air show, and I walk into a diner with my now ex. We walk into a diner, and they're sitting at this huge long table were the Blue Angels in uniform.
Oh, wow.
And I thought I was going to pee my pants. And my ex, who's also a pilot, right? So we're sitting there and we're eating, and he's like, stop staring, because I was staring. And then I'm saying, because it stays here on the live, I'm like, why am I married? Why am I married? I mean, I'm like 26 years old wondering what? However, as much as my ex was horrified, I snagged something and had them, the menu or something, and had them sign it, and I still have it. Yeah.
Oh,
but obviously they're not the same
cool.
Blue Angels, but yeah, that's my Blue Angel story.
Oh,
that's a great story.
Yeah. Yeah. Why am I married?
That's so funny.
Not the smartest thing, and Rachel was laughing. Yes. The pain was real at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, ladies. Thank you for showing up. We always go longer, and I'm okay that we go longer. I hope you guys do. Just put it in your planner that it's going to be more than a half an hour.
Yeah.
All right. I will schedule this again in a month. Before we stop, though, if anyone, Rachel, anybody who's still here, Taylor or Teresa, if you have a question, I'll wait for just about 30 seconds if you have anything. Sorry, I did not ask. And typically I will ask if there's any questions. And we've just been chatting away, and she'll do the replay. Cool. Yes. All right. So I am going to end the stream and say goodbye and thank you, Karen. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank
Bye,
you. Thank you.
ladies.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My cheeks get
I know,
tired.
every time. Ah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.